Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor. Great to be back with you in the studio. As many of you know, over these last 2 weeks, we've been on an amazing Mediterranean cruise with other Turley talkers from all over. We explored the Mediterranean together. We went to Spain, we went to Valencia, we went to France, Monaco, Corsica, Tuscany, Rome. I mean, it was absolutely an amazing time of fellowship and teaching. I did lectures each morning. We had interactive Q&A. We had dinner together. Did some exciting excursions together. I mean, it was wonderful, and I can't wait to do it again. You will have to come with us the next time. You'll definitely want to be a part of it. Now that I'm back in the studio, I've got all the data in front of me on the current state of the race between Trump and Kamala, and my, oh my. All the data shows that we have a massive psyop going on right now. We're talking a gaslighting info war operation unlike anything we've seen from the legacy media. And what I want to do for you today is help you make sense of what's really going on right now as we speak in this race. Now, remember, my job as your patron professor is to help you stay sane in these insane times, not with a bunch of wishful thinking or pie-in-the-sky nonsense, but with real facts, real data that the legacy media deliberately hides from you. That's why we're here. So let's start with the big picture here. Here is the undeniable big picture truth of what is happening as of today, August 15th, 2024, and a blessed Dormition Day to all my Orthodox and Catholic brethren out there. Here's what's really happening as of today. Fact. Again, fact. Donald J. Trump is stronger today than he has ever been. He is in a better position to win the White House than he has ever been in. While at the same time, the Democrats and their candidate are weaker than they have ever been against him. I'll say that again. Right now as we speak, Trump is stronger by far. By far, he is in a stronger position to win than he's ever been, while at the same time, the Democrat is weaker than he or she has ever been. Here's the data. According to Real Clear Politics polling average, on this day, August 15, 2020, Biden was beating Trump by over 7 points. Biden was up 7.2. That's just a fact. On this day, August 15th, 2016, Hillary was also up by 7 points, 6.8. As of today, August 15, 2024, Kamala is up by not even a full percentage point. She's up by 0.9%. So the fact of the matter is Trump has never been stronger, and the Democrats have never been weaker against him. Now, of course, Trump went on to overcome those polling deficits overwhelmingly. He went on to win 2016 as the first Republican to win over 300 electoral votes in 30 years. And he lost, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He lost by only 40,000 votes in 2020. And this is because, as Harry Enton of CNN has been pointing out, Trump consistently performs about 5 points on average better than his polling. Trump consistently performs an average of 5 points better than his polling. We saw that in 2016. We saw that in 2020. And we have every indicator that we're going to see that again in 2024. So what you have to get here, in my effort to keep you sane in these insane times, you need to break through all the noise and all the propaganda and all the absurdity that's surrounding the polling right now, coming from the legacy media, which we'll get into in a moment. You need to cut through, or better, you need to break through that darkness with the light of the fact that Trump has never been stronger and the Democrat has never been weaker against him. So put that in your pocket and keep that fact with you as you navigate through all this madness over the next few weeks. Now let's talk about that madness. What on earth should we make of all of this crazy polling that shows the single most unpopular vice president in our history suddenly surging to become the most popular human being on the planet? What on earth is going on there? I have a little homework assignment for all of you. I'm your patron professor. I have a little homework assignment for all of you here. If you really want to understand what's happening right now in the polling, You have got to carve out a couple of hours in your schedule and listen attentively to the interview called Inside the Numbers between Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, and Robert Barnes, who you often see on the Duran with Alex and Alexander. We've had both of them on the show, Robert and Rich. They're both amazing. It's a discussion they did earlier this week. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble. And it is a literal masterclass in polling methodology. I cannot recommend this video enough. It's going to absolutely blow you away. It's going to take you into it's going to take you on a deep dive behind everything that's good, bad, and ugly in polling and polling methodology. That interview will show you exactly what's happening in the current polling, and it's well worth your time. I listened to it while I was traveling in Europe, and it was by far the best deep dive on polling I have ever come across. So, for example, they show you exactly how Harris's poll numbers are being inflated through something called response bias, right? Which, when all said and done, it involves a polling sample that does not accurately reflect the overall demographics of who actually comes out to vote, either through mail or on election day. So these polls inordinately advantage Democrat constituencies in ways that are completely disproportionate to the actual voting electorate. Moreover, what I found actually most interesting here is that Barris and Barnes are going to show you that there's really no such thing as a swing voter anymore. It's fascinating. There is in the sense that we're talking 1 or 2% of the electorate can be swayed one way or the other. But all of these fraud polls that have been coming out of late are trying to convince you that 10 or 15 or 20% of the population just suddenly swung over to Kamala in the last 2 weeks. There is solid data to show that is emphatically not happening. It's an illusion created by pollsters and pundits who are basically all bought and paid for. It's what Barnes and Barris call a phantom swing. It's not real. We've seen it actually before, back in 2012 and the like, but moreover, they get into something called the recall vote, which is determining who your polling sample voted for back in 2020. Recall to vote is simply who you voted for in the last election. They show Trump has actually lost none of his base. Everyone who voted for Trump in 2020 is going to vote for him again. And remember, he won more votes than any incumbent in history. By the way, that's a clue as to why the media is doing what they're doing here. We're trying to make Kamala look like the second coming. But the truth is, Trump has lost none of his base, whereas Biden and Kamala have lost some of their base. Many who voted Trump in 2016 and then voted Biden in 2020 are coming back to vote Trump. Moreover, Harris right now is doing significantly worse with white and non-white working class voters than even Hillary did, which was a disaster for Hillary. Even if Hillary had gotten Barack Obama's level of black vote in 2016, she still would have lost because she lost the white working class vote that badly. And Kamala is doing even worse than Hillary did in that demographic, which is so key for states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. And what Barnes and Barris point out, too, is that a much more accurate indicator of what's really happening in a presidential race is voter registration. How are voters registering just before the election? And the Republicans are absolutely crushing it in voter registration right now, particularly in Pennsylvania, where they're out registering Democrats 4-1. That is a real indicator of who has the momentum here. Again, we're trying to cut through all the insanity with real numbers and real methodology. So I'm going to defer the rest of the data to that Barris and Barnes interview. Make sure to check it out. But there's something even far more nefarious going on here with these polls, and that is what we're going to find out next. But first, gang, with all of this uncertainty, all of this insanity surrounding us and the world as a whole falling apart, there's never been a better time to secure your finances with the timeless value of gold and silver. And so that's why we have as one of our wonderful friends and sponsors the amazing company Goldco, because they're patriots just like us who want to help you and guide you into getting into precious metals completely tax-free and penalty-free. In fact, if you click on that link below right now, you can get your very own absolutely free gold and silver kit. This is an amazing free resource that shows you step-by-step how to get into precious metals, even if your money's still in a retirement account like an IRA or a 401k. And just to show you how awesome the Patriots at Goldco are, the best part is that you may actually already qualify to get up to $10,000 in free silver. 10,000, gang. I told you they're the best, so what are you waiting for? Get in on the action by clicking on that link below or going to turleytalkslikesgold.com and get your free gold and silver kit today. Now, what's really happening with Kamala right now as we speak is what's technically called astroturfing. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of the term, but what's happening right now is the very definition of it. Astroturfing refers to any organized activity that deliberately intends to create, and that's key, create a false impression of a widespread, spontaneously arising grassroots movement in support of or in opposition to something, such as a political policy, but that is in reality initiated and controlled by a concealed group or organization. In a word, it's deception. It's the deceptive practice of presenting an orchestrated marketing or public relations campaign as organic, as grassroots. It's an artificial product presenting itself as completely natural. Now, the good news is that that is exactly what the MAGA movement is. It is organic. It is natural. It's the result of a whole host of anti-globalist dynamics that we cover in this channel each and every single day. And it's not limited to the United States. I mean, I just spent 2 weeks covering comparable grassroots dynamics going on all throughout Europe. It's what scholars call civilizational populism. It's a widespread revolt against the anti-cultural dynamics of globalization and its technocratic managerial aristocracy, its elite. So this is something that's happening quite literally all over the world, and the MAGA movement is the distinctively American version of this very organic, very predictable backlash against globalization. That's not what's going on with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris literally represents nothing. She represents the establishment, right? She doesn't represent hope and change. She doesn't represent a backlash against the powers that be. She doesn't represent anything. Everything surrounding her campaign is astroturfed. It's a marketing campaign to make you think that people are ultra excited about the single most unpopular vice president ever recorded in the history of polling. And the key amplifier of this astroturfing is the legacy media. What we now appear to know, the most plausible explanation for what's happening right now, is that the legacy media work together with the Democrat leadership, Democrat operatives, since they're basically the same, right? Half of them are married to each other, for heaven's sakes. They work together with the Democratic leadership weeks ago to oust Biden, to deliberately get rid of Biden, hence all the horrific coverage from the fallout of that debate. It wasn't honest coverage. That's key. I think I even fell victim to the notion that, oh, look, finally the media gets it. Finally, the media is reporting reality, right? Finally, Jake Tapper is finally seeing what we see. No, they weren't reporting reality, gang. They were exploiting it. They were exploiting reality in order to get rid of Biden, while at the same time, they planned to roll out the single greatest makeover charade ever seen in the history of politics. They deliberately coordinated and planned out how they would roll out a new Kamala Harris with this Pepsi-Cola glamour-like celebrity status, and then in turn claim that Trump pales in comparison to this new gem that stepped onto the political stage. So what does all of that mean? The fact that they've gone to so much of an effort to try to convince you, this psyop, right? This astroturfing. What does all of this mean? Well, at one level, it is an admission. It's an admission they got nothing, that Kamala left to her own is a political disaster, that apart from an artificially orchestrated lie, she would go down in flames. But at another level, it's incumbent upon Trump's team to reveal that to the American people. The Trump campaign has a responsibility to step up to the plate and, in effect, Dukakis her the way Bush Sr. effectively did that in 1988. And they are doing that to an extent. I've seen some commercials here in the Pennsylvania area. I'm in the Philly area, where the Trump team is absolutely crushing Kamala in her radical record, her pro-BLM record, her pro-crime record, her disaster at the border. All that's being put out to the fore to show that she's actually a fraud. But in order to prevent the AstroTurf narrative from having widespread effect, the Trump team is going to have to be very, very deliberate and target in terms of how they're going to do that, how they're going to blow up that narrative and reveal Kamala, and frankly, just remind all of us of just how unpopular and worthy of disdain she really is. If they do that, if the Trump team effectively Dukakis Kamala, this could be one massive AstroTurf-induced train wreck.